Welcome, everyone, to the Fun and Key West podcast. And this is our book club edition. And we are so excited. I am so excited to have H.R. Gordon with us. And she is this month's author of our book club book of Fins and Flames. But I'm so glad that you decided to sit down with us for a little bit to talk about not only your books, but what everything else is happening. So I'm going to give you a few minutes of give us a little bit of your background and how did you become a writer about Key West stuff?
Yeah, so I think I was probably destined to end up with Key West stuff, although I never knew it, because my mom raised me as a little parakeet, and so I was raised to become a parrot head and to appreciate all the finer things of Key West from a young child. And I think very similarly, I was raised to be a writer. That was kind of who I was from a kid, and so my passions intersected. Really, I was looking to write fun books that let me really dig a little bit deeper into Jimmy Buffett songs. So all my Beach Bum books are based on a Jimmy Buffett song, and play with those characters, but also to escape my academic life. So I am a professor and a doctoral student in my day gig. And so I really wanted something fun and something that let me escape to island time whenever I started writing.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So explain. So Fins and Flames isn't your first book, right?
No, it is not. It's my first solo novel, but not my first book, no.
Okay. Well, tell us about. So you grew up as a little parakeet. And for those who don't know what that is, what is that?
So that is the child of a parrot head, and a parrot head is a really big fan of Jimmy Buffett. So my mom was an absolute parrot head, and I was raised in the parrot head parakeet tradition.
Makes sense. So is that what made you decide to have this series based on songs about Jimmy Buffett that were by
Um,
Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, I don't think the series would have existed if it weren't for the songs about Jimmy Buffett, because I think he led me to Key West, and being there with my mom and my dad and my fiance, all these, you meet characters when you're there, and so people just, they stick out to you, and things and events stick out to you. The iguana scaring the crap out of you because it fell in a trash can sticks out to you. These are the things that come to you, and so these are real experiences, real people that I've kind of embellished on and played with and twisted around for fictional purposes. So I don't think that Beach Bum books would have been a thing if it weren't for Jimmy Buffett. And like that's really the inception of that. And I think I would have been a writer. I would have been writing things, but it wouldn't have been this. And this fills my soul with a lot of salt water, which is good.
Yeah. So why did you choose Fins as your first inspiration song?
Oh, it actually wasn't the first one I started writing. I had started another one that is not out yet, because it's still in progress. This Fins jumped forward because one of the protagonists in Fins is based on a real tattoo artist on the island. And I had just gotten a tattoo from him, and it jumped forward beyond another book it's tentatively called Rum Punch and Revenge, which obviously doesn't link perfectly to a Jimmy Buffett song, but there's Jimmy Buffett-esque themes, and so that was the first one I started writing. But when I really, honestly, I was looking at my tattoo one day and really appreciating it. It's of course a Jimmy Buffett tribute tattoo, and thinking, I gotta write that book. I gotta write about him because he was just so fun.
Right.
And so I kind of twisted who he is around and played with it. And he knows and he loves it. And the book is actually displayed at 0 Mile Tattoo. This is one of the owners is the inspiration. So Philip knows very well that he's there. But yeah, so it really became I want to write about that. So it kind of jumped the line. And it was never intended to be the first one, but here it is.
So the tattoo artist in the book is inspired by a real person. What about some of the other characters?
Yeah, a lot of them come from, like I said, those bits and bobs. You're standing on the street corner, you check in at the cameras that are on Duval Street just to see what's going on in Key West, and you see things. You see all sorts of things,
All kinds of things.
all sorts of people, and so I think a lot of the heart and soul that really connects to Key West is that it every character has something that I've seen in someone there. They're all fictional, but they all come from those little sparks of the, people stumbling drunkenly out of the bar, or the beautiful music, or interesting artists that you meet. And so I think because of that is why it rings true to Key West.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are specific places in Key West that you list in the book, specifically Moondog Cafe. And you and I had an interesting conversation as to why that was the inspiration spot for where she starts to work. Why is Moondog so prevalent there?
So there are a couple of reasons. So I can't remember which reason I told you, but there are a couple of reasons. So one of them is, I am actually gluten-free. And so Moondog is a gluten-free, awesome menu. And it was one of the first places where I, got to try my gluten-free vegan key lime pie, which was a huge deal for me. And I think there's also something really striking about Moondog and the aesthetic. And when you walk in, you've got that gorgeous case of desserts and the brilliantly vibrant decor. And it just felt like the place. It felt like the place where you'd come and go, hey, where I would go, someone who's a previous server, that seemed like the place who would go, can I get a job here? That would be my inclination. And so it kind of became this facet for me to imagine myself as a server at Moondog a little bit. Not that I'm from Cincinnati or in a legal job at all. Casey is definitely not a stand-in for me at all. But the notion of working at Moondog as someone who'd worked in breakfast places before was kind of a fun thing to play with. And so the vegan treats, the gorgeous aesthetic, and there is a reason that's connected to a later character. So Jimmy Buffett's song Fruitcakes talks a bit about a bake shop and space station. And it just seems like maybe, I don't know if that's what he was talking about, but maybe Moondog sounds a lot like a bake shop space station together.
Oh, I like that.
Perhaps that comes in a little later in our Beach Bum books.
So speaking of the Beach Bum books, there are a series. So you had the first one. Fins and Flames is actually the second in the series, right? And
so Fins and Flames is the first in the series.
Okay.
So this is Fins and Flames, the very first in the series. And the very first Beach Bum books was actually Latitude Adjustments, which isn't a part of the series, but is a Beach Bum book. And it is a collection, kind of like a Parrot Head devotional. So you've got individual pages with quotes from Jimmy Buffett and the song they were in, the year the song came out, or the year that I'm referencing, because obviously we have multiple recordings of songs. So it tells you what year I'm referencing if the song, because we know Jimmy Buffett changes his lyrics quite a bit. And then like a little blurb that gives you kind of a way to think about it or bring it into your day. So this actually was the inception of Beach Bum books, because I was sitting in Captain Tony's with my mom, and I was listening to her think out loud about how she wished she could find a Jimmy Buffett quote book that wasn't just, pages kind of thrown together, or it looked real and looked something that she could read every day and carry around with her. She is a devout Catholic and loves her devotionals, and so that's why I say it's kind of a Jimmy Buffett devotional, because
there you go.
Quite literally what it was made for. Was, you'll see the dedication is from my mother, and it was for her. And so then Fins and Flames is the first in the fiction series, and they're all standalones as well, so they can be read in any order. If you're not a romance person and Fins isn't for you, I just released Frenchman for the Night, which is a murder mystery. So there are murder mysteries too, and they every other one is a romance or a murder mystery. So you could only read the murder mysteries, you could read them both, you can read them in any order, you can read them in the order they came out. Very Key West, whatever time you're on.
Whatever time you're on. And so you've got the three out there. So you got the devotional, and then you got the two in that. But you're also doing something interesting with the proceeds from the Beach Bum books. What are you doing with that?
Yeah, so all of the Beach Bum books, whether they're, the fiction series, this, or if we publish other authors that are coming through, because I'm the publisher as well. Um, if any book published in that imprint under Gordon Publishing Collective is 10% of the proceeds is donated to Save the Manatee, which is one of Jimmy Buffett's awesome charitable foundations, and focuses on saving the manatee habitat and ecosystems and all of that with preservation in Florida.
That's awesome. So you're keeping the characters intertwined as you go through bouncing between a romance and mystery, right? So if you pick one book up, you're probably going to see one or more of those characters again, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the vibe on the island, right? You kind of run into people. And I mean, even if you're only there for a weekend, you tend to run into people again and again because you're seeing the same spots. You're walking up and down Duval with your drinks. And so, as locals and the folks that I've known down there that are locals, that are conks or transplants that live there now, you know, they run in the same circles. You see the same people. It's what, a 4.2 square mile island. So you have to see those same people. And I think that's part of the beauty of it being set in Key West, is that I get to tell different stories. I get to, you know, try on different hats and see through different people's eyes. But then I get to see those other characters again through someone else's eyes or through another experience.
That's awesome. So if you're watching us live, let us know who you are and where you're at, and so we can do a shout out. As you were writing Fins and Flames, was there a specific character or scene that gave you trouble, or that you thought, I'm not sure if this is hitting the way I want it to hit and it's not ringing true with Fins?
Yeah, you know, so I never intended to be a romance writer. It was never my intention, so that is why it's wild that Fins came out first, because I was there was no reason for me to do it other than I really just wanted that fun escape as a writer, and so I thought
Right.
maybe readers would too. So the whole concept of making sure it's romantic enough and do my characters interplay enough, or am I telling a different kind of story, was really interesting, because I wanted to tell a romance story, but I also want stories that are romances and murder mysteries that are really Key West stories.
Right.
And so it is a romance, but it's a Key West story, you know, someone coming down there and finding their job and finding their footing. And Frenchman for the Night is someone who lives down there as a bartender and having to experience different things. And so it's really those Key West stories that I think come through. So I think the biggest thing was that, was it romantic enough? And then the character of Jake gave me a lot of problems, because he is the suave guitarist, and you want him to be likable, but also I know who he is. And so he gave me a lot of trouble because he's one of those guys that sometimes you want to slap upside the head and sees your character and you're like, really? You're behaving this way? But that's the beauty of being a writer, is you can't always control the characters. They do what they want.
That's true. So Elizabeth is saying that she's loving the fact that you're donating, and that she too loves the manatees. So
Yes, love the manatees, our chubby mermaids.
chubby mermaids is exactly right. So Key West in your book is a character, I think. So how did you keep, there are certain references as you're walking your characters around the island and where they are, and I actually thought the tattoo place was a different one. So so that was interesting that you noted that
There actually are two really close to each other, so I could see.
Yeah, so I was thinking it was southernmost is what I was thinking. So right there.
It is.
Oh, so you're right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep,
So I
it
was
is
in the right
southernmost.
spot. I was in the
Yep.
right spot. But
Absolutely, because the Paradise Tattoo is not far.
right. So the question is, as you're doing your research and you're in Key West, are you actually walking these paths and figuring out, okay, this is where I'm having her live? And so
Absolutely.
she's doing this.
Absolutely. And if there are places where I can't fully recall, or I am you know, just something really important's happening there, so I really want to make sure it looks or sounds correct. I am on Google Maps and doing my street view and looking through all of the photos I have on my phone to make sure, like, okay, am I lining up this? Am I looking at this? and not for the sake of, it's fiction, those little things don't necessarily have to be perfect. But for me, because the island is kind of a character, it feels like a disservice to not get those things correct
Right.
and to not feel as intertwined in the spaces, because it really is, like, I mean, it's a big coral rock. And so you have to give name to that coral rock and let it kind of do its thing. And I don't know,
Right.
I think I love that you identify that, because it's really something that means a lot to me, as like the setting as a character. Like it is just as much interacting with the characters as they are with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. And a lot of our readers come through and they're like, I can imagine walking through and doing all of this. And I can picture myself walking into Moondog and getting my cup of coffee and having my pastry and, all the experiences that she has. How did you decide to have her go off? And because I know the song has her going off to Antigua, but, how did you write that and put that into, because it was an interesting concept of how you put that together as almost as a setup to give her that space.
Yeah, so, it was tricky on my first draft. One of my beta readers said, "It doesn't make sense because she's escaping something. Didn't she just escape to Key West? Why is she running away again?" And I was like, "Well, because the dang Jimmy Buffett song says she has to. What do
Right.
you mean?" And so it's a little bit of, well, okay, well, that's what the song says. And I did say that I'm basing it on the song, so I can't totally divert here. Um,
Right.
but I think that that's where the ploy of the romance comes in, and that, you're seeking this escape and you end up in a love triangle, and, well, damn, you want to escape it again. And so where better to go than the place that you had been longing to go for a long time, and that tropical escape. So I think that, yeah, it was a tricky part to write, because it truly was well, the song says this. So this is what has to happen.
Mhm.
Um, but I hope that it feels really authentic to the character, because I really, went back and explored the drama before that happens, to
Mhm.
really help her, set her up to be like, I need a break from all of this
Right.
again. um,
Right.
so yeah, so I think that I tried really hard to set that up in a romantic way. So
Yeah.
hopefully it was successful.
Yeah. No, I think it was. Um, so you were just in Key West for a book signing at Books and Books.
I was.
Tell me what it was like to be signing a book you wrote in Judy Blume's bookstore.
Oh, that's what it was like. A dream come true, truly.
Mhm.
I mean, Judy Blume's an icon, and so in so many ways, and so to have been invited to sign inventory and to have those books on display there, and to have, a bookshop that is really, a nonprofit, really sticking up for readers and people and interesting, like, social justice things, and really being there for
Mhm.
their readers as people. I think being invited into that space, and having them put my work on the shelf, is an unspeakable accomplishment in some ways.
Right.
It seems so small to so many people. It's just the little island bookshop. But I think that's the big point, is that it's that, like, the spirit of the island.
Mhm.
And I love that. And so it was really a dream come true to be invited there, and to have my books there, and to feel that support from the people in the community. And then I also got to meet the folks at Key West Island Books. And
Mhm.
so getting to meet them, and it's, a very different clientele. I met a lot of locals in the bookshop. And it was just a really fantastic experience there too. Both very different kinds of places, but so uniquely Key West in their own ways.
Right.
And so to be welcomed into both of those places, as an author who is writing about Key West, who is not a conch and who does not currently live on the island,
Mhm.
it's really, really special. And I feel very honored that I was invited to those places.
That's awesome. Did you have any interesting conversations when you were doing your book signing?
So I actually, I took about 30 copies of books down with me as well. So I didn't just have interactions while I was signing books in bookshops. I um, kind of let the roosters guide me, I guess.
Right, right.
And if I got into a conversation with someone about, was it their first time on the island? What brought them here? Oh, I'm a really big Jimmy Buffett fan. I'm this, I'm that. Getting into
Mhm.
conversations with people, and I had my poor fiance as a little pack mule with a bag of books on his back, and so he would have like 5 to 6 books in his backpack at a time, and I would hand them out to folks. And so I met so many interesting people just by doing that, by connecting with folks and telling them about myself, but also hearing their stories. Where did they come from? What brought them here in the first place? And a lot of folks, I met someone who is leaving the island. He's lived there for, I think, 13 years, he said, and he's leaving the island for work to go to Africa. And I don't know what he was doing, but they were having a fabulous little going away party for him and his friends, and he was lovely. And so I gave him a copy of Latitude Adjustments because I was like, well, you're going and you need to take this with you. Like
Right.
the danger, the journey ahead is dangerous. Take this with you. You know,
Protect
like,
you.
like it's a little amulet.
Right.
And so it was really at that point then, like, you've lived this life, and you are kind of some of the people that I'm writing about, and you need to take this with you because you need to take the spirit of Jimmy Buffett and Key West with you everywhere you go. So he was very touched, and he and his partner, I think, at least his partner, shed a tear. I was like, oh gosh, please don't cry. I'll start crying. It'll be bad. So it was a really, really sweet interaction, and yeah, that's something that will stick with me.
Oh, that's awesome. So, as the readers read Fins and Flames, what do you want them to take away from it? You've gone over, the journal and saying, okay, this is something that you can have with you every day. Like you said, your mom carries it, and it's something that you can reflect on. What do you want them to take away from Fins and Flames?
I selfishly, I want you to take away that voracious need for Key West. I want you to take away that I want more of this because I got more, and I want you to want more. I want you to want more of these characters. I want you to, be rooting for them. I want you to see a side character that you fall in love with, and I want you to email me and say, I want this character to have a whole book because I'll write it for you. I'm so open to that. I want to know who you love in this book. I want to know who you hate in this book. I
Right.
want to know what you think. I want to know what your favorite bar is. I want to know where you want to see the next, protagonist living. I want to know everything that you feel when you read this book. And so that is kind of, I guess, what I hope people take away is I want more Key West. I want more of this fun stuff. And I want to go tell the author what.
That's good. So have you ever just dreamed about just packing it up and
Every day.
moving to Key West and just forgetting it all?
Oh my god, every single day. And not because I dislike my life, but because I really see, um man, I see myself in a hammock on Key West.
I think
Um,
me too.
and I think, in Jimmy Buffett's spirit, I think that, for me, Key West is like a soul place. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily just this escape. It's not just this, I've got to party and drink every day. It's get me in the salt water and get me to a place that I can just walk around in my flip-flops and there's no care in the world about things. And I think it's a place I could thrive as a person. I used to think that I wanted to be a New York Times political journalist living in New York
Okay.
City. And when I visited, having been from Buffalo and having been to visit multiple times New York City, having visited there and felt like, oh, I could live here, and then walking around really trying to picture myself be there, I was like, "Oh, I can't. I never couldn't. I know. Oh my god, what was I thinking?" And
Right.
so when I came to Key West, never it wasn't the intention of I was going on a Jimmy Buffett tour. I wanted to see everything he had done,
Right.
and it got me just the same. It was,
Mhm.
"Oh, I feel at home here.
Mhm.
I love this place. I've got friends at the drag club, and I've got friends that are bartenders, and I've got, I got, I got people here. I like this place. This is fun. And you meet new people every time you're there, people who've been there for years that you haven't met.
Right.
And I think that appeals to me so much. And so I would not be surprised if at some point in my life, I actually consistently tell my fiance that if something tragic ever happens, or when we're old and gray, because he's, 8 years older than me, I always say, well, you're going to go first. Um, when we're old and gray and you've left this world, if you're coming back to look for me, look in Key West, because
There you
that's where
go.
I'll be. Is as soon as I can, as feasibly make it my home, it will definitely be my home, because it's definitely already my heart home.
That makes sense. So when you do your Jimmy Buffett tour of the island, or you were meeting people and talking about the impact that he had, and hopefully that your book had, um, what are some of your favorite things to do in Key West?
Oh, okay. So related to Jimmy Buffett or just general?
Just general.
I guess although apart
But
probably
there's
most of
probably
my
going to be
favorite things are
connected.
related to Jimmy Buffett anyway. Okay, so one of them has to be sitting at Captain Tony's and listening to a fabulous, usually someone with an acoustic guitar and no shoes on, um,
Mhm.
just playing. And that is just to sit there and have a smoke and have my rum punch. I can't tell you how many of these glasses I have. And
There you
so
go.
I'm here drinking apple cider out of it because it
Mhm.
felt on brand.
Right.
But that vibe, that is something, because it really is. The song "Last Mango in Paris." I went
Mhm.
down to Captain Tony's to get out of the heat. When you're in that inescapable heat, it is always 15 degrees cooler in Captain
It
Tony's,
is.
and so I have to say that is up there as my one of my number one spots. Absolutely. Um, I also love getting out on the water, and I got to go kayaking in the mangroves on my most recent trip, and that was just a gorgeous, ethereal experience. Kind of
Yes,
feel like a mermaid.
no, it is.
So yeah, it was beautiful, and I love to see the wildlife of the island. I think that's something that people forget about Florida
Mhm.
a lot. We get a lot of those Florida man stories. Um,
Right.
People forget how gorgeous it is, and how diverse and interesting the wildlife is. And then you get down into the Keys, and it's even more interesting. And you've got gorgeous coral reefs to snorkel in. And yeah, so I think that going out on the water and doing, engaging with the wildlife and the ecology of the area is probably up there as number two. And then, I don't know what else. I don't know, man. You could just walk around, just
Mhm.
observe. Like, not having anything to do is probably one of my favorite things to do in Key West, to
Right.
just be, and to let yourself be wherever that is. Walk in and out of bars, wander up a street you've never been up, if that's possible. um, but
It
finding, just letting the breeze take you where it's going to go is
right.
probably one of my favorite things to do in Key West.
Hmm. Have so what's your favorite time of year to visit Key West?
Oh, I didn't think I was gonna love October as much as I had. This is our most recent trip on October, but it was, just before I think things got way really wild for Fantasy Fest. We were in the earlier
Right.
side of the month, and we only had one day of rain, so I was very shocked at the rain.
Mhm.
But if I was gonna go and say, I just consistently want that hot sun, I'm March all day. But I think it's also because March is my birthday month, and so I'm like, get me down there for my birthday. Let's hang out. Who's buying the drinks?
That makes
um, so I think that's also one of my favorites.
March. Okay. I always say that the best time and my favorite time to be in Key West is any month of the year.
You know what? That is a better answer than mine. That
No,
is.
no, because it's one of those of I try not to pick favorites, but if I was going to pick a favorite month, mine would be July because my birthday is in July.
Oh, see, there you go. And see, I would never pick July because I would be like, oh my god, I would die.
No, I like July because as you're walking down Duval or walking down most of any of the streets, there's air conditioning that comes out
Yeah,
onto the street,
those
so you just
lovely
kind of
misters outside Fogarty's.
yeah, yeah, and you got the misters, and it's going to be a bad hair day no matter what,
Oh
so
yeah, you're just.
it's going to be okay. But in July you have the key lime festival, the first part. You
Mhm.
have the fireworks and all the festivities for 4th of July. And at the end of the month, you have Hemingway Days. And of course, you have the running of the
My God,
bulls.
those pictures are always so fun.
Yeah, they're so fun. They are absolutely so fun. Um, with everything that you're doing, and you and I have talked about this, you've already sort of pre-planned out kind of the next multiple books in the series. How are you finding time to write? And is there like, do you batch it up? Do you write every day? Do you just do you write when you're inspired? Or you on a deadline, I guess, is my question.
So I guess a little bit of A, a little bit of B. If I'm feeling a massive inspiration or a massive need to, put my mind in Key West, I will sit down and for an entire day just do nothing but write.
Mhm.
Um, but I tend to batch a little bit, so I know that okay, I'm gonna write this whole book, and then while that's percolating, well, that's got to sit aside so I can kind of almost not forget what I wrote, but put it to the back. I'll start writing the next one so that I'm kind of in the same mindset because while they don't have to be read in order, if you do read them in order, you'll pick up on little things.
Right.
And so I am very deliberate in making sure that those months line up and where things fall that makes sense. And so I will start writing the next one before the other ones actually edited because I'm like, okay, I'm in the mindset. I'm here. I'm good to go. But yeah, even if I'm not writing them, I am planning. And so I've got this little moleskin notebook that's got all my
Right.
ideas in it. And I plan books, beach bum books. I plan all of my work, and I just get little ideas. And so it's not even like a full fledged plan. It's here's maybe a title and a little scribble about who it's about or what it's
Right.
going to be. And so that gives me a place to come back to, and also kind of a log to say, okay, so who do I want to write about next? If these can be read in any order, I don't have to do a specific order. So if I'm starting to feel, and I think that's what happened with Fins, if I start one and go, oh, but I'm really drawn to this person instead, let's just
Mhm.
start writing that one. And so I have the flexibility to do that because it's all on me. So
That's true. That's
it
true.
is a great way to work. So it's enjoyable for me anyway.
Yeah. Did you pick up any new ideas or storylines that you didn't have already in plans when you were in your trip this last
I
time?
absolutely did. So I went out, like I said, snorkeling in the mangrove tour, and I met a lovely first mate who was kind of everything that you would imagine if you think about like a guy who lives on a houseboat and is kind of always sunburnt with like raggedy bleached
Right.
hair. Like he looks like the definition of beach bum, sun bum.
Right.
Um, and but like also really cool, and really chill. And so I met a wonderful guy who lives on a houseboat off of Wisteria Island, and he had told me how he was invited to a party on the following Tuesday on Wisteria Island, and I was like, I'm kind of jealous because I want to know what goes on there.
Yeah.
I want to see. And so he was a very big, and actually I kind of joked around with him about putting him in a book, and he said, I want to be in one. So he might end up in one.
Nice. I like
So definitely him. He's got me thinking about things because he's absolutely the kind of nomadic soul that taps into Jimmy Buffett. He is already looking. He'd been in Key West for about 5 months, and he's already thinking, well, next year I want to sail down to Colombia. So I love the vibe. I'm here for him. And then unexpectedly, and I don't know why this wasn't a part of my thoughts beforehand, but I've been so inspired by the drag community in Key West this past trip. I met some fabulous queens, one who'd been on the island, had been, I think, doing drag for 30 years. She said, or 50, 20
Wow.
years, but living there for 30 years. She was doing drag the whole time, but like working at 801 Bourbon for 30 years.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so Miss Raquel is fabulous, and yeah, her and her friends, everybody performing, and the vibe really inspired me a lot. And wasn't something that was new to me, um,
Mhm.
but I think something that I saw in a different light.
Okay.
And I don't think last time I was there, I was already had so many ideas of things that I wanted to write that maybe that wasn't one that came forward as clearly. And
Mhm.
now that I've kind of written some of those things that I had these ideas, this last visit was a place where things kind of bubbled up, and I think that those are a couple of them.
That's awesome. Well, before I close this out, I have a couple more questions to ask you, but if anybody who's watching has a question, feel free to put it in the comments. So you're landing in Key West. What is the first place you go to, and what's that meal?
Oh, and what's that meal? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. If I'm coming in late, there was not a lot of options when I came in, and so my first place was going to Fogarty's and getting that Cuban pork and rice bean bowl. Oh,
Mhm.
oh my God, so good,
Mhm.
so good.
So good, huh?
That is that is at the top of my list. And then of course you can get your little koozie and you can walk around with it, and you've got your frozen rum runner in my
There you
my
go.
instance. So that is probably my number one stop because it's a really hearty, I'm full, I'm good. And they also do Key West peel and eat pink shrimp, because that is also on my number one. I need to get my peel and eat pink shrimp within 24 hours of landing or I will combust.
And Fogarty's is your go-to place for that.
So it's my go-to place for the Cuban
Okay.
bowl. For my peel and eat shrimp, the half shell raw bar is really good.
Okay.
And I'm also a big fan of Alonzo's for
Mhm.
just a bunch of, appetizer seafood stuff. I like to sit out there and slurp back some clams, and eat some shrimp, and watch the boats.
There you go. And they have a great happy hour.
Hmm.
That's a very nice happy hour. Concord Public Seafood Company also has a great happy hour at the bar. That's a buy one, get one. And everybody has collected those coins, I'm sure.
There's
Um,
chips.
Yep, those chips, we all have them. So that's interesting. I'd never thought of that as a first meal. Last meal that you try to get, make sure that you have kind of, I always have this concept, and maybe I'm just because of my OCD or whatever. I always have this thought of what's my last bite going to be, and that's the taste that I'm going to have as I leave or leave dinner. So what's that last taste that you want from the island?
So typically it's that Key West key lime pie that I get
Mm.
from Moondog. That's the gluten-free vegan one. And but this time they
Mhm.
had been closed.
Oh.
And so up until the day that we left, and then we went to Blue Heaven for breakfast, which amazing.
Mhm.
And we came back down the street so stuffed from Blue Heaven to see Moondog was open. And I was like, I love Blue Heaven, but I don't even have room for the key lime pie. I didn't save room.
Oh,
And so
no.
I didn't get my key lime pie. But I think that, as cliche as it is, Blue Heaven is one of my favorite breakfasts. And they'll modify an eggs Benedict.
Oh,
And
really?
so I can get an eggs Benedict with potatoes underneath it instead of the English muffin. So we're going gluten free there. And then instead of the hollandaise sauce, I get avocado on top. And so I get a lobster steak eggs Benedict with avocado
Mhm.
and potatoes underneath it. And that is just to die for.
That sounds
So
amazing.
that was, yeah, and so that was my beautiful ending to Key West, was that, and a delicious drink, listening to someone play Jimmy Buffett because I requested it.
Of course you
So,
did.
so
Of
yeah, so
course you
typically it would be my key lime pie, typically, but this past one it was give me that lobster steak Benedict. I gotta have it before I leave.
did. I think we can all relate. Well, any last thoughts you have for our audience before we conclude our conversation?
Um, well, thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with us. And please, I am very serious. I want to know all about what you think about Finns and Frenchmen for the Night. And all of them are available at your local bookstore for order, or you can get them for free on Kindle Unlimited if you're a Kindle user. So please read them. Let me know what you think. And let me know what your favorite characters are. Or if I need to feature another place that you love, tell me about it. Reach out, tell me. I want to connect over Key West stuff. So you can find me at HR_Gordon on all social media. And my website is Hannah, HANNAAHRGORDON.com. So HannahRGordon.com.
And I'll put all that information in the show notes so everybody will have that. Thank you so much, Hannah. This has been amazing. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
that you were able to join us today. And if you guys are not part of the book club, obviously you need to be part of the book club. If you're interested, you can grab, Fins and Flames just about anywhere that you get books. And again, it would be free if it's on Kindle Unlimited. And I appreciate everybody showing up and checking in and watching. And you guys have a great evening. We'll talk to you all later.